Okay, we'd like to thank everybody for coming. We'll start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thanks again for coming out. We'll start with item number 1, approve the agenda, make any additions, deletions, or corrections. I have one that Nancy has before you here. It's regarding the call for redemption of the general obligation bonds that's related to the wastewater treatment facility. These have been planned to take place, and the city's bond advisor got this to Nancy today. So we have to have this approved tonight in order to have the 30-day notice for it to happen by the end of February. So that's why that was added last minute, and that is on the table in front of you. So we'll add that to G number 2, new business. Teresa, anything?
No, that would be it.
Okay, yeah, go. What?
I just have a correction on the minutes.
Okay.
Last meeting for city council.
Okay.
Under mayor's report, planning commission, you pulled out Joe Fitch to revisit that position.
Yep.
And it's in here that's appointed, so.
Oh, I think at the very end of it.
No.
It says, doesn't it?
Except. Says appoint Joe Fitch to fill Mark Sands' vacated position. Thank you for his service, so it's gonna be corrected.
I didn't read it that way. I
Yeah, I
think at
didn't
the very
read it
last
that way
sentence says
either.
Mayor McCurran will remove his appointment for now.
In the motion, it says to approve all appointments less the planning commission appointment of Joe Fitch.
Because he did say that.
Oh, okay. I
You did
thought,
say it.
I caught it in here, so I thought it would be in the mayor's report at the same time here, so sorry about that.
Okay, good.
Yep,
All right.
good.
All right. Lonnie, anything? Doug? Good. Good, okay. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks,
Second.
Ben. Troy, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The consent agenda. Everything's in the packet. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion.
Thanks, Doug, do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Troy, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to B, visitors to the council. Sarah Middleton, you are up.
Good evening, everybody. Well, like you said, my name is Sarah Middleton. I'm with the Zumbro Watershed Partnership. We represent the Zumbro Watershed, and with me is Ryland. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Ryland Nyquist, the mayor of Orinoco,
Yep.
and I'll follow Sarah with
Yeah,
more details.
I'll just do a brief kind of overview of our project. Ryland brought some just information that you can keep. So just kind of general overview, this project is part of the Greater Minnesota Regional Park and Trails Commission. They were created in 2013 to bring regional parks to Greater Minnesota outside of the Twin Cities Metro. And so in our area, you may recognize projects like Quarry Hill and Game Haven are both part of the Regional Park Status Project. They received that regional status and funding. So in our watershed, we are looking to create a waterway trail system, similar to what you might recognize in like the Roots. And in doing that right now in the process, we're looking to talk to cities and communities along or near the Zumbro River to get support for the first part of the process, and that's to draft the first step of the application. And to do that, you know, we just like support from your community if you're interested in participating. The first step requires roughly $150 to, for staff from ZWP to commit time to drafting that initial application. If you look on the second page of the handout, you can kind of see there's a...
Excuse me, is there an extra handout? I don't think I got it.
And feel free
Sorry,
to
I'm
stop
sorry.
me at any time if you have
Thanks,
questions.
sorry about that.
No, that's okay. There's a little chart on the second page that kind of shows the steps, and we are adopting the red route. So there's initial application, and then that goes to the commission for ranking. And if we're ranked high, then we'll move on in the process, which involves creating a master plan for this project. And if we rank high and do move on to that master plan process, we estimate that each community involved at that point would be asked to contribute about $3,000 to create that master plan. And then we'd submit that for regional ranking to become a regional park. So, and you know, I guess I'm not sure how familiar you are with the project, how much you've talked to Ryland or others previously, but if you look at the map on the front page, you know, our general idea would be, you know, you could launch your canoe or kayak somewhere in Dodge County, near Casson or Manorville, and you could flow, or Rochester, you know, you could maybe do one portage, Lake Zumbro area, and then you could take it all the way to the Mississippi. And this regional park status would bring amenities and enhance river access in the communities that it flows through, whether that's building nicer canoe launches or maybe even installing some sort of drinking fountain or porta potties, things like that, to make it easier for people to access the river. And that would obviously look different in each community depending on the needs or wants of each community. So I guess Ryland has been one of the points of contact, so I'll turn it over to him if you have a more detailed updates. Otherwise, if you have questions, feel free to ask us at any time. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Thanks there, Mayor and council members. My name is Ryland Nyquist. I'm the mayor of Oronoco. And just to kind of fill in some of the blanks from what Sarah shared with you, at the top of the second page, it says, how did we get here? What's not here is, I'll just give you a brief overview. Back in the summer of 2015, I was on the city council, and that time I had heard about a regional park designation, so I took the initiative to submit an application to the Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails Commission to develop the master plan that had been put together by the city a couple of years before that. But I submitted an application to the Greater Minnesota Commission just to develop our park with a master plan that had been put together a couple of years prior to me coming on the council. I submitted the application. It came back with a medium ranking. Had we gotten the high ranking, we could have gone further in the process of getting funding. But the point that they made in their comments back to me about the application was that you need to think more strategic within your area, and I was mostly looking at our own little center of the world around Oronoco. So they suggested we do more a strategic approach, make it a destination point. So a couple of years passed, and there was, because of the way the districts are made up, the commission is made up of 6 different zones within the state of Minnesota. Tom Ryan, who's the Olmsted Park Supervisor, I talked to him several times, and he suggested that we start looking more strategically. And about that same time, the commission itself was looking to advance more regional water trails within the greater state of Minnesota. So that's when the commission reached out to the Zumbro watershed to look at what we could do with the Zumbro River. So in July of last summer, representatives from the commission was there, the executive director, the planning coordinator, as well as the Zumbro watershed. We sent letters out to 12 cities, and I don't know if you were there, Teresa.
No, I haven't.
Maybe not at that one, but some
No.
future meetings. So the interest was to develop the Zumbro Water Trail. And with that reception, it was a very positive response that we should consider doing this within the whole watershed area and the branches. And the one thing that, because the Zumbro Watershed is a nonprofit, they're not in a position to submit an application. So for this, we have to have 1 point of application, so the city of Oronoco has taken upon themselves to submit that application. But we're gonna hire a consultant for the $2,000 figure, and depending on the number of cities that participate in it, as well as the counties, we have Olmsted, Dodge, Goodhue, and Wabasha County have all expressed an interest, and we've received response back from Olmsted and Dodge supporting that application too, as well, from a county standpoint. So it is becoming a more we are gaining support. There's still city councils similar to like yourself would like to hear more about it in a conversation like we're having tonight. And so that's the reason for meeting here tonight, just kind of help you fill in the blanks of your any questions you might have. But so because of that, we're looking at the application. We talked about the amenities, but we're also looking at this Zumbro Water Trail as a not only recreational, but economic, development, throughout the different cities that the river passes through, whether it's outfitters or, potential, coffee houses, pie places like Langsboro's noted for their pie shop, just kind of provide that extra, commercial aspect of it too. So this first application is to kind of identify what those amenities are. We'll collect those, and the consultant will, put those together in this application that will be submitted. When the Regional Park Trails was originally developed, it was, or the commission was, they had deadlines every year when you had to have submissions, but they've eliminated any deadlines now, so it's just a matter of submitting the application and then waiting when the commission meets to do the ranking. And we recognize this is a very, huge project. It involves a lot of cities and counties. At the same time, it's not gonna happen over a year. It might be a 2-3 year process, but the point is that when we do a high ranking, that really kind of kicks it into another stage of, helping with the different cities with their master plans, identifying what they'd like to have done, that they don't have today. And, but ultimately, it's to get us, legacy funds, and the group as a whole will meet and will help develop how we split that money up, which is important, because everybody, we're committing, several thousands of dollars to a consultant for the master plan application. But the point is that, you know, the idea is that we would make these decisions if we're gonna look at, access points for funding around 2 or 3 different cities. We'll work with that, or we'll decide if we're gonna improve camping facilities in 2 or 3 different cities. We're gonna try and work together as a group, towards that ultimate goal of getting that, all the funding necessary for all the different master plans. So with that, do you have any questions?
You know, for us, is Manorville on board with this? Have you met with Manorville at all? 'Cause reason for my question is the river doesn't go through Gaston, so.
Right. Yeah, we have
You would
met-
have no access point here.
I have not met with
Okay.
Manorville, but I've talked to Mayor,
Right.
Chuck Stafford. I've talked with him a couple of times. Waiting for a response from the mayor themselves, so. A lot of times the timing of going before council makes those kind of decisions kind of strung out a little bit. So the letter was sent out in December, so that's why we're kind of following up with cities. We have, another meeting scheduled to talk to Kellogg. We have another meeting scheduled to talk to the Wabasha County Commissioners, so.
Okay.
But today we've had a pretty, favorable, probably about a 60% response of the cities that have responded. And you talk about, your proximity to the river, and that's a good question, I think, too, that the intent of this water trail is to be what we call, if you go to the website that's on the front page, the bottom of the first page, the Greater Minnesota Commission, you'll see that there's different plans, and we're looking at what we call a motorized and a non-motorized. Motorized being, you know, we know someplace like in Lake Zumbro, which is also being approached about, you know, talking about motors on the, rivers. But at the same time, we're also talking about bike trails connecting to the river, to the amenities that you may have next to the river. So in case of Casson, it could be that access, of a trail to the river. But the bottom line is, I think, as we get the legacy funding, is to be part of that marketing and promotion of the Zumbro Water Trail, that, the cities in the watershed can, market and promote it as well for the individual cities, so.
Yeah, I mean, anything in the region that creates activity is beneficial to any city in the region, whether they're on the river or not.
Right, so there's, but that's a fair question, but yet we're reaching out to the cities within the watershed to make sure that we're not wanna say leaving anybody out, but at the same time, making sure we touch all those different points, so.
Thank you.
So,
Go ahead.
can I ask one question?
Sure.
So I take it, your partner had stated it cost about $150 per city just to get the
Yep.
consultant to prepare the application.
Right.
So that would take 14 towns to total that $2,000. So if you took that 14 towns, times that $3,000 just for consultant's fee, that's $42,000.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it is. It's a big number when you look at it that way, and that's right. It is a.
So if you don't get the 14 towns, whatever towns you get are gonna actually pay more than the $150 just to get the application going.
Well, there's two aspects. One is the application.
Right.
And that's $150, and that's, again, that's dependent on the number of cities that we do get. We have,
Right.
I think it's 13 or 14 cities in the 4 counties. So it might be $140, maybe $155, but it's nominal for this first $2,000 for the consultant. The $2,000 is a firm commitment by a consultant that
Right.
Zumbro Watershed has identified. So now we're just reaching out and identifying one to see if there is support, a yes answer, and then we'll circle back around when we have all the yeses to determine if it's 135, 142, 150. When we get to after getting the high ranking, and then we start working on the master application, that's when we will be looking at a consultant that will take more time, and the $40,000 figure came from some of our earlier discussions throughout, since last of July, we had 3 different meetings, I think, and those figures have been kind of thrown out from different people that have done this before, of a consultant, because there is a consultant that does the master plan, would have to be talking to the different cities and take more time and the mileage and everything, and so at that time, the $3,000 is kind of a nominal figure. And we recognize that if you look at Rochester or Zumbrota or Casson or Orinoco, because their populations and their budgets, some cities of $3,000 is going to be hard to budget for. And other cities, it could be, they may be able to allow more dollars. So how we balance that all will have to be determined when we get our formal group together.
Yep.
So, but we recognize that towns like Millville or Hammond, they're kind of the other end, they're very small, less than 1,000 people, so.
Right.
Did that answer, kind of give you
I
an
was
idea?
just
Yeah.
curious how it was gonna break down, and
Mhm.
if you didn't get the 14 towns, and some of the towns that are right on the river will get better benefit than the people that aren't connected right to the river.
Yeah, I mean, that's a true statement. I mean, we recognize that too, and that's all that, how we come up with that pro rating will be, whether it's by population or proximity, I'm not sure, but,
Right.
you know.
Yep. Nope.
Yeah, there's a lot of good questions, we're just starting the whole process here, but.
And it's something I think we wanna see, that, I think for $150, that we should be in the preliminary, and just see what kinda Ames stored us out of it. You know, we can always say no after that, but for $150, don't you think we wanna see a basic plan of what, could be created? You know,
I agree.
that's kinda my thought.
As we pull the group together too, I guess we'd like to have, Teresa, we've been talking, communicating back with her, kind of an official contact that would go back to each of the cities too, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for that?
Is there anything I've left out, I think?
No, I don't think so. Our contact information is on the last page, I believe. So
Yep.
feel free if, questions pop up,
Yep, let me
give
know.
Ryland a call, or, if he knows how to reach us as well. We'll definitely be in touch and keep you guys in the loop.
Perfect. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the information.
Thanks for allowing me to share this with you.
Hey, no
Thank
problem.
you.
Drive safe on your way home.
Pardon me?
Drive safe on your way home.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, public forum. We have 2. First up, Melissa Ferris.
Melissa Ferris, 204 Fourth Avenue Northwest, Casson. The Water Tower Committee meeting, we met last week, and there were a few questions asked of me by Mr. Borgstrom that I wasn't really clear when he asked if he was asking in his capacity as a Casson City Council member or as president of the Dodge County Historic Society. That seemed to vacillate a little bit as the night went on. So I just want to state on the record that, yes, I am a licensed attorney in the state of Minnesota. Yes, I am on retired status. No, I have never been asked to represent the city of Casson, nor have I ever indicated that I was asked to represent the city of Casson. So I just wanted to make that very abundantly clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to direct that quick.
Yep.
She did state everything that night also.
Okay. Next, Ron Carlson.
I'm Ron Carlson, and I'm here to talk about the lot that I had put a proposal in for on Chalco, and I see it's on your agenda a little later on, but once you get to that, did I read it right? I can't talk then?
That's gonna be closed, but then when we open it back up, we'll
Or
discuss.
letter I there?
What's that?
Yeah, letter I.
Administrator reports.
Administrator's report's got it on there.
Oh, that was gonna be just to kinda clear up the steps and why, I had asked Teresa to put something together on that, cause I had some community members call me, and I think there's some misunderstandings of who owns the lots and who has control over what goes there, more of the layer, you already know all that stuff, you know, who has
Okay.
control of it, who controls what type of business, the covenants are on it, and that type of thing.
The
I just-
covenants, I got a copy of those.
Yeah, you know that, but it was more of just an overview of the whole process, 'cause I had some people calling me asking bizarre off-the-wall things, and it was starting to spread, right, so I just wanted her to set the record straight that who owns the property, Shopko has the right to say what can go there or not, so that wasn't specific to your offer.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I was just wondering to follow up, on a couple different things. I talked to the highway department, and, on Fourth Street there, they have jurisdiction probably about 15 feet past the sidewalk, and beyond that, they have no jurisdiction, none. And, I talked to Brandon and Dave down there.
Yeah.
It's on the survey planning commission, and that's what they told me. And earlier, I was told that the highway department had control of that, and they do not. They do not.
Correct.
Okay. But I
But
was,
they have
I was
control.
told that they
Well-
had control of that.
Do we have the update from Brandon?
We
Did he
do
get
have
that to you
an update
before?
I guess it's just
From the state.
confusing.
I
You
know,
when you
and
talk to them and
It's
here
not
they say
open,
no.
it's not a discussion time, it's more to get your feedback on that, if you want to, but.
What
we
was
could have-
that?
We could have a discussion about that sometime, but, I
Wouldn't
wasn't,
this be a good time?
well, not during public forum,
Okay.
but I can just tell you that I wasn't very happy that somebody went directly to the state while we're trying to get grants for the state, and they're a little irritated about it as well, so.
To get transferred?
No, transportation.
Transportation.
The Department of Transportation. You're
Okay.
right, they don't have jurisdiction over Fourth, but if the answer we got from them through Brandon, who was gonna follow up on that, Brandon just emailed this last night, was that if we do anything on Fourth,
Mhm.
they're right, they don't have any jurisdiction there, but they'll shut off the access off of Manorville Avenue.
But why was I told, why was I told they had jurisdiction over that?
Well, I don't know why you were told that, but we don't like it when they say they have jurisdiction over things either. However, they don't. So we can go ahead and put an access there, and they'll shut off the access on Manorville Avenue, that solves everything.
See, they didn't tell me that. Is
Yeah, but
that, is that what they told you?
Right, but are you the property owner of that? I mean,
Uh,
they're gonna deal with the property owner on any access issues, they're not gonna make deals with people or tell people,
Well, someday I hope I'm the property owner.
yeah, me too, that's the plan.
Okay,
I'm just saying that we could go ahead and put an access there, and they'll shut the one on Manorville Avenue. That's the response we got
from Brandon?
from the Department of Transportation, from the state.
Rhonda? Who did you get that from?
Who's Brandon talking to? Rhonda?
It says Teresa, I'm following up on my conversation with Tracy and Rhonda with MnDOT Planning. The conclusion is they believe the best solution for MnDOT and the city is the proposed shared access agreement utilizing the current accesses, which I agree with from an engineering perspective. If another access is provided to the lot from the city street, MnDOT could consider removing the current access to Shopko on the MnDOT right-of-way. If any development or access is proposed, the city should be the point of contact with MnDOT Planning.
She just said maybe, and you said they would.
Well, they may.
May, okay.
Right.
Okay, well, there's a difference.
There is a difference.
Yeah.
But we just don't need to rile the State Department of Transportation right now. We're trying to get a $3 million grant for the North Manorville Avenue thing right now, which we don't have secured yet.
Okay.
Because the $3 million is far more valuable to the city of Caston than any access anywhere else in town right now.
No, I agree.
I mean, you know that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
I'm
know
not
that.
gonna argue, I'm just
No.
saying, but we gotta kinda play ball with them and not get forced too many.
I guess, I can see your point, Chris. You know, I can see your point when it comes down to money-wise, but when it comes down to function and being able to do it, you can do it, if you guys wanted to. Are you saying if you go and give me access, they won't give you the 3 million?
We don't know that. So why would we kick that hornet's nest? until we
I
get-
don't know, I didn't know if they hung that out there for you, or if they said, yeah, if
Not
you do
yet.
this. Okay.
Not yet. We just like to
It's,
get that.
it's just one of them things you don't wanna hear, no one's gonna say that out loud.
No,
Sure.
and I'm not saying they will, I just, right now, again, I'm not gonna argue.
I realize the best access, the best thing to do is to work with Shopko.
And I believe we'll get that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what.
Ron,
when
it's
we make
kinda like
decisions.
working with the county on 13.
Yep.
When Murphy wanted to build that body shop by the carpet place, right away, they told Murphy, why don't you use the shared driveway with the hotel?
Mhm.
And he said, I'd rather have my own driveway. They didn't want that. They wanted as few entrances as possible because of flow, traffic flow. Their thing and MnDOT's thing, I know, is if you have one access and within so many feet of the state or county road, there's fewer congestion, less congestion. That's their view. And I know the county put up a stink for a long time. And that's why the county would like to rebuild 13 and turn that back to the city where all the businesses are, because they just don't want the congestion.
Sure.
And the state's looking at it the same way. I think what Chris is saying, we'll all work this out, it's just, you gotta do it the right way, carefully.
Sure. When will you guys, when do you think you'll know when you'll get this money?
We actually have $4.3 million in asks out to MnDOT right now,
Right.
and
We don't, I
Right.
just signed the one part 2 weeks
right,
ago and said, "Tell me
so
I gotta
we
get back."
signed off on the letter of intent on the 3 million, MnDOT had not
Right.
yet signed off. And then the $1 million grant
For
for
16.
16, and then the $300,000 for the TAP grant, the Transportation Alternatives. So we have $4.3 million in asks to MnDOT. And I think that council would also agree, we maybe have a bigger fish to fry with the roundabout than.
Again, I can't speak for Shopko, I really believe we'll get access to the electric, it's in their best interest to do it. And we're following up with them on a weekly basis, and we're getting so far nowhere.
Who are you contacting at Shopko?
His name is Patrick Bryan. I spoke with him yesterday.
Okay.
He told me his boss had the information, and he would need to get back to her.
So we're moving, we're getting
I've
farther.
talked to them. I talk to them as
When-
often as they'll
okay.
answer their phone.
When I went to the EDA meeting, I had my concept plan and stuff,
Mhm.
and I think you mentioned in the email that you forward that on to Shopko. And what did they say?
Your concept plan?
Yeah, when we went through the EDA, when I showed the buildings and stuff there.
Well, I'm not that far yet. I'm just asking them to respond to my proposal at this time.
And they kinda went through a management change,
Yeah.
true?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah,
kind of
this-
in flux too.
This gentleman you're talking to, what would his title be?
I am not sure. I believe that his boss is the VP of Store Development.
A gal?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm just, on my project too, being frustrated, it took 2-3 months to get the purchase agreement, and, Paul had sent something over, I think, to you, Melanie, over a month ago, and it just, when you do purchase agreements, I don't know if there's any realtors in town here, but, if you had a purchase agreement, I don't think you'd sit on it for 2 months or a month or so. It's getting frustrating for me, because I got a potential person, and I'm on a little bit of a time constraint. He wants to do something, I wanna get planning on it, and,
We'd rather have you get it done.
yeah.
I'd like to address, actually, it's not just a purchase agreement, there's a development agreement that also went along with it, which does create some, and it's not as simple as just a purchase agreement in a situation like this when you're buying from an EDA. And I did receive an email from Paul, it wasn't a month ago, it was January 2nd, I missed the last council meeting because I had a medical emergency, so we
Okay.
will be discussing
That's
that
underst-
tonight.
you know,
in the
that's
close.
understandable.
Yep, I just wanted to address that.
So, your rule of operation, when you get a purchase agreement, you have to do the purchase agreement, correct?
We didn't have to.
No.
Rebecca
I
told me
actually-
that,
No, we actually had asked you to provide us with a purchase agreement.
and then Rebecca said, no, we do the purchase agreements.
I think you misunderstood.
Okay, no.
Because we asked you for a purchase agreement, and you just brought us the one-page kind of offer to purchase. And then because you had not used an attorney to prepare your offer, we used our attorney to prepare the documentation.
Okay, all right, I understand the funding and all
Okay.
that, but maybe can we just sum it up? Do we have any time frame here as far as?
Well, we'd like to
going-
get an answer
Yeah.
from Shopko as soon as possible. As soon as this VP of whatever operations will get back to us and we can get in front of them. So far, they went through their management change to where it's doing a different person. So they said wait till January. Well, it's January, you finally got to talk to somebody
Right.
on the phone, which you've
Yeah.
been trying every week to get somebody.
Yeah.
And I just can't believe that once everything comes in front of the right person, that they're not gonna grant it. It's in their best interest to have activity there.
Right, they know,
So,
they knew it was
Our goal
coming
is to
and-
have it done as soon as possible.
Okay, well,
Because it doesn't do us any good to have a lot that we don't have the right access to. Could we force access somewhere else? Sure. At what cost?
right,
Potentially, who knows, zero maybe, but maybe a lot. The access from that lot makes common sense.
right, no, I agree,
So,
I agree.
You're frustrated, it's frustrating sitting here, not being able to get an answer for somebody that isn't gonna benefit themselves by granting the access, so.
Sure.
So, yeah, we're in the same boat you are, we're frustrated that we can't get the answer on the access. The sooner we can get access, the sooner we can get the lot sold to you, and the sooner we can get development going.
And here again, Chris, I know, you know, money talks, and with that amount of millions you're talking, I just feel I'm in a bad position and kinda getting pinched a little bit with, you know, what you're talking to them on, but you don't have any time frame as far as if they're gonna accept your offer. How long does it normally take? Have you asked for money before and got a
These
rough?
type of grants, I have no idea. These are special
Yeah,
transportation
they have
grants,
their
so-
own timeframes. Dan and, Brandon are gonna make a presentation, to MnDOT in support of the TAP grant on
Yeah.
February 9th
Yeah.
at 10 a.m.
I think 10 a.m.,
Yeah. 10 a.m. So it's an ongoing process.
I think our chances of working something out with Shopko will be sooner than a MnDOT decision.
Definitely.
You know.
I think as soon as we can get the right person at Shopko to listen and actually look at what's going on, it should be simple.
Would there be a problem if I contacted them, Chris?
That doesn't matter to me, I mean, anybody.
Well, so, there's more than one ask in the proposal that was sent to,
For the bike,
to
the trail.
Shopko. So, given that the city is the party,
Yeah, let's let the city take.
Okay, okay.
We'll keep, Teresa, as soon as we hear something, we'll CC you on the email that we've got a hold of somebody and we've set a time and talk to them. Just keep on the loop as far as what we're hearing back.
So I think the 3 points are access.
Yes.
And then that land at 17 feet or whatever.
38, I think,
58 feet,
38.
38 feet,
Yeah.
That was
whatever.
wider than I thought, what I just read here this week.
That outlaw eight,
Yeah.
they call it.
Okay, and then some trail.
And a trail access on Outlet A. Yep.
Okay,
Yep, those are the three.
okay, well,
Yep.
The trail access is something that's already on there, isn't it?
No,
Oh, that was just on that,
it actually
that's proposed.
Yeah, it started, a trail was on the kind of original ask agreement when the development started, but in the end, there was no trail easement, indicated. So I've kind of circled back
So
on that.
no accesses either, then? That's all proposed, that was on that?
Right, on the proposal, so there are 3 asks on the proposal. So, And then actually, even if Shopko agrees to it, Shopko is not ultimately the owner of the property. It's just that under their lease agreement,
They have the right.
they have to say that, right?
Shopko makes the call.
According to the property owner, because I'm not a party to the lease agreement, so I have not seen it, but the property owner is the one who referred me to Shopko. And
Okay.
then eventually turned over to me the phone number to contact Shopko.
Frustrating for everybody involved.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are multiple
You-
layers.
You have it on your agenda here for the Shopko lot overview.
Yes.
Did we cover anything, or is there anything that?
I was just gonna have Teresa go over for the public record,
Okay.
for the people at home, that they know that Shopko has the right to, the covenants and all this stuff, basically from start to finish. And we already covered a lot of it.
A lot of it.
So,
Okay. All right, well, thank you, council.
thank you, thanks for your patience.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, public hearings, none, committee report, EDA annual report, that was in the package. Any questions? We can relay back to Rebecca if you'd like. On the old business, number one, CETA contract.
So I did go back to Ron Ziegler and ask him if he would provide me with, copies of the evaluations that he received. He politely declined. He feels that his form, assures each individual respondent, some anonymity, so that they will, respond in a way that, wouldn't come back, to bite him, perhaps, would be the right word. So he did decline to provide me with copies of the, 3 evaluations that he did receive. Dan did, complete one of those evaluations, so maybe Dan can speak directly to, his evaluation of the CETA contract, or of the experience with CETA.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I filled it out, I marked it without looking at it, I can't remember, but mostly about into the middle or a little higher. And I did mark on there, there's a couple things she needs to work on, with some of her, maybe, and a learning curve for her to be a new city, but it was just some of her communications and, but it wasn't a, I'd say she's doing a good job, we're getting a good deal with CETA, because we're not only working with Rebecca, we're working with all the members of CETA. So if she's gone, work with somebody else, or we have other questions, she can go back to the office and ask other questions. So we got a bigger network.
The one that's on here, you filled out though?
Yeah, I
Teresa?
did keep a copy of my own, but the others were, submitted directly to CETA.
And if this is some type of thing we want to evaluate, we should almost have our own evaluation form,
Mhm.
and not the employee, because she's not an employee of the
Right,
city of
right,
Cassia,
right,
she's an
right.
employee of CETA. So us having access to her private data as far as evaluations would be off limits.
Mhm.
We can evaluate from our standpoint, what are we looking for, what do we see, what do we, as far as CETA, I think as far as, it'd be like asking WHKS for Brandon's employee evaluations.
We can't.
We don't get those. If we want to evaluate our engineering firm based on the criteria we want to evaluate them on, that's something we should do as a practice, I think, as a council versus the employee evaluation. That's why I was kind of confused as to why they even asked us to do an employee evaluation, because
Suppose,
she's not our employee, we have a contract with CETA to
Mhm.
provide us someone to be that.
Yeah, and, well, they
contract
do
person.
call it a team member performance appraisal, so they're reaching out to see, is their team members
working.
doing, right?
That's for their own file, their person.
They wanna know if we think she's doing
Right.
good for us.
Right.
I just found it interesting that there was already, we pay up front for these services? We're being billed for the first quarter now already?
Right, we are billed quarterly.
But I mean, in essence, we're paying up front for the services, if we're paying in the end of January for something that's gotta go through March.
Well, and I don't know necessarily that I was I think I may have been a part of the bringing this up, but I don't necessarily know, that I was looking for a evaluation of how she performs. It was more of what are we getting for, what's the bang we're getting for our buck? Are we getting what we're hiring them for? Are we just getting someone over here collecting our money?
Right.
What is, what is she supposed to be here doing, and is she doing it for the community? Is she?
I think a lot of that may have been answered in her annual report,
Mhm.
that she put together, if you read through that, of what her activities are, because I asked her that one time too, I said, okay, you're here, what are you doing? You
Yeah,
know,
that was more of what, I wasn't
Yeah.
really looking for.
The employee evaluation.
No,
Yeah.
that had really nothing to do with.
I think the annual report showed her activities and the
Right.
different things she was doing for the city and then assisting with the other agreements and things that you're asking her to do. So, I don't know, from my standpoint, I think we're getting what we're trying to do rather than hire that employee to backfill what we had with all the strings that come with that. And I think we're gonna get more now that CETA and Rebecca specifically knows the community better as far as what it is we're looking for, what we're doing, how we do things, what our practices are. So I would expect we'll get a lot more out of it this year, just because the learning curve should be a little more under our belt.
I gotta believe it's gotta be a step in the right direction from where we were.
Okay, on number one, the CETA contract. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the CETA contract for 2018.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Aye, other discussion? All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. The billing, that was just informational.
No, I do need to act on that because you had not already approved the contract, we had not paid the bill.
Okay.
So if you will approve this bill, then we will be able to cut the check for it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve paying the bill for the contract we just.
That's the way it is set up, though, that you pay
Yeah,
upfront.
Well, that we're billed, right now it's set up that we are billed quarterly.
That's what the contract.
You know, I could- yeah.
Normally, that'd be at the end of the quarter, then after you had your services, you know, I don't know too many services you pay upfront for, but.
Yeah, if I remember right, we asked that at the beginning too.
Did we?
I think that we were wondering.
Maybe.
I think our practice is,
Right.
because they're paying out the wages over the period of time, so it's like that's done. I believe that's what's in the contract as well.
Mhm.
Alright, so I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills presented for the first quarter 2018.
I'll make that motion.
Stand up a second.
I'll second it.
Aye, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously, Linda. Number 3, Old Stone Water Tower agreement. So where are we at? I know do we have an update from the committee?
Pretty much, we're at the point where we both got together, we submitted our agreement, they had their meeting, they countered slightly with some changes. At this point, we're close. I really think it needs to go back to the committee. We were working great the last meeting that we had, true?
I would say so.
I think if we go and meet one more time, I think we can hammer this out.
Okay. You want, can I give these to you?
Sure.
Tracy, you had one email to you by Don, right?
Yeah, this afternoon.
And I've got a
like,
copy.
or-
I
yeah.
printed a copy.
Okay.
I thought this afternoon.
I just printed 2 pages, the top 2 pages if you guys wanted, just for your information.
Okay.
But I really think there's really only 2 points to work out right now that I see.
Yeah. Was one of them the shutter?
Yep, the shutter and, was it the shutter?
4 or 5 are liability deal, I think.
Right,
Yeah,
Oh,
and it-
liability.
yeah.
the liability, but I think that's easy things that we can work out, I really do.
I think so.
I think we just need to meet one more time and we can have this pounded out.
I agree.
Music to my ears. That's just fantastic.
If
You guys do that, that'd be great.
It's getting whittled down.
Yep, thank you for the update. Thanks for your time, everyone, and thanks for coming tonight, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Hey, Don.
Okay. Number 4, attorney comparison.
Oh, the attorney comparison, so I said I would take a look and come back. Well, it's way more complicated than that, given the amount of litigation, that was involved in our attorney bills for this year, so, I will need to back out the litigation to complete an analysis of where we are as far as if we had gone with the $3,000 a month, probably adjusted annually, and paid for litigation on top of that, or pay by the hour and pay for litigation also hourly. So I thought I would do a calculation, do a comparison for you and come back to this meeting, but it's more complicated than that.
Okay.
So I'll
you'll
need-
still get something, this is what we wanna see?
I can still work on
Okay.
it, but yeah, I did not get it back to this meeting.
Okay.
It was more complicated than I anticipated.
I didn't think we wanted, did we really want a comparison, or we just kind of, that was just kind of brought up, I thought we were trying.
Let it go.
I thought we were fine with it. I thought-
You don't need to do it.
Okay,
I
awesome.
you know, sorry for the confusion, I thought it was just that we just kind of
Awesome.
brought it up.
Well, it was in the minutes that I said I would come back with the.
I think you said you would come back.
Back with
Yeah,
the
but
comparison.
I think that.
And then I had to admit that.
Well, I think it was under consensus that we had stayed under the other amount anyway.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Okay.
Just so we're aware of it, but you don't
Okay.
need to spend any more
Okay.
time on it.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
kind of the general concern.
Okay, okay.
All right, on to new business 1, the sewer connection fee.
Okay, and it seems like my worksheet did not make it into the packet, which I apologize. That would be totally, oh, yes, it is, there it is. Okay, sewer connection fee, that's my worksheet. Okay, so, not this year when we passed the fee schedule, but last year when we passed the fee schedule, I did a very bad job of talking about the tradition of charging the subdivisions that had paid sewer access charge a reduced sewer connection fee, which was, the reduced sewer connection fee was $750 for the, folks who had paid sewer access charges. Then we added a sewer access charge to the fee schedule in 2017. So in 2017, at Brandon's, recommendation, sewer access charge was added, and the sewer connection fee at that time went up a little bit based on the adjustment that we made to sewer rates to accommodate the debt service for the new plant, essentially. So that was on the fee schedule in 2017. So when Chris asked me, has anything changed? It hadn't actually changed. It was there. But I did not, again, address that tradition of charging less to the subdivisions who had paid their access charge prior to 2005, because now all the subdivisions were paying a sewer access charge. Not as large a sewer access charge, it turns out, as the subdivisions who paid prior to 2005 had paid, but a sewer access charge nonetheless. So then thinking, well, now those subdivisions aren't an exception, because now we're charging the sewer access charge pay. Which came as a surprise to, and back to my attention with 2 builders who have permits waiting for them. So I went back to do all of kind of the research on what had happened. Neither the council resolution shifting the charges to the connection fee or the minutes of the meeting give any clue as to how the $750 was arrived at. Just doing the math at the time and seeing that at $4,500 per acre, assuming 3 acres or 3 lots per acre, the difference between the then connection fee and what those developers had paid for sewer access charge was $750. So it kind of made it equitable between those who had paid sewer access charges and those who were not being charged a sewer access charge, but paying a larger connection fee. So today, or in 2017, which is not a change but is on our fee schedule, is $1,000 per acre, which would come out to $333.33 per lot. The sewer connection fee is currently the $2,450, so that the total cost per lot essentially for both sewer access charge and sewer connection fee is $2,783.33. So one way to make a comparison, and again, all I can say is that the $750 was a tradition. There seems to be no motion or resolution or anything in support of it. It may have been an administrative decision at the time. The difference would be $1,283.33. So I'm coming to the council for direction since there was no council direction in the past as to how to make that transition from no sewer access charge to having a sewer access charge again, but having it not be as large as the previous sewer access charge.
Oh, I guess I have an opinion as far as how we can make this pretty easy for 2018 and then work on this for 2019. When we approved the fee schedule, I asked at that meeting, this is the exact same amount we had as last year. So my opinion is that we need to honor that statement, that when we passed it, it's the exact same amount as last year. So whatever happened in 2017, if you come in for a permit in 2018, it's that amount.
Okay.
And if we need to make these adjustments, my understanding now that I've gotten educated on this over the last 5 days, quite extensively, is that this is because there were 3 or 4 developments still out there that they had prepaid some stuff, which
Right.
I
Well,
did some
this
stuff.
is, yeah, this is.
And
Right,
so then they shouldn't be charged it, but then we had this big gap of time that we didn't really have a lot of new platting and subdivisions
Right.
plans because there wasn't building.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we've got some new ones coming in,
Yeah.
so they're getting a permit for the new one, and they haven't prepaid it, so they should pay.
Okay.
But I mean,
Yeah. It's like.
and then in the
now
future,
where we
if,
go.
as we go through this and learn from this, I guess again, is that if there's gonna be a difference, I'd like to see is, from a practice as far as the council or the city goes, if there's gonna be a difference in your permits or your fees, your access, or your WAC, SAC, whatever you wanna call that stuff, is that sometime in September, we revisit the fee schedule for the next year, get with the engineer, the budget, all that, see what our costs are, so make sure we're covering our costs. And then a notice would go out to any developers or builders who built the city to say, hey, here's the current schedule, here's what it's gonna be 3 months from now.
Get your permits now.
And if you wanna get your permit in December, that's your choice, but you're gonna get notice that's going up rather than coming in for your first permit of the season. And wow, I mean, it's there, it was in there last year, it's just that we've got this.
I'm sorry, I just.
No, it's this administrative practice that wasn't a policy, that's just the way it's been. Well,
Right.
I wouldn't know that, coming in as a new mayor, I mean, even maybe some of you guys have been around a while, wouldn't know it either, that's just, it is what the fee schedule said, it's just not what has been happening by practice.
Well, the same thing was when that happened, it got dropped back, and you see why everything was paid up front on
Right.
some of these, the
Oh,
information
yeah,
I've got here, so it's.
Yep.
Yeah, and we've gone so long without plating.
yeah, there's-
But I think we've addressed this with Brandon now, that when everything's put in, everyone's gonna be doing it the same, so we shouldn't have some that have been paid.
Right,
and
once
some
these
that
other
shouldn't.
lots are all done and developed, the last houses are built on them, it's not an issue anymore, it's just we
Right.
still have some of these older lots.
Right, so, any lots being built in subdivisions that, where the final plat was approved prior to 2005, and it was like December 2005, would have paid the $4,500 per acre as their sewer access charge.
Right, and they shouldn't be charged.
This check was the 31st of May, 2002.
Right.
Right, so any final plat
Yep.
that was recorded prior to that would have paid
So you should have it.
the
So,
$4,500.
I guess, do we need a motion for that?
Well,
Or
let's
just
sort
need a
it all
direct-
out. let's make sure we're really clear and then do a motion and vote.
Okay.
So any subdivision platted before December of 2005 will pay $750 for their sewer connection charge.
So every subdivision that was platted before 2005 did indeed pay up front. I just wanna get into he paid, she didn't pay type thing, or just say
Right.
anybody who's prepaid that stuff.
Because it must be in five
that
when they
Right,
waived some of that.
the ones that we have would be,
That we have lots remaining.
that we have lots remaining
Lots
would be the
remaining.
Blaines, Prairie Willows, and South Fork.
Okay.
And they all did pay, I can't tell you exactly, I think they paid the
Did
$4,500.
they prepay? Okay.
Yes.
So
And
there's
then
none
we-
that were platted before them that didn't prepay? Anybody that
Or
did?
that still have even
That
lots.
still have
Okay.
lots left.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Because
I'm just
I-
trying to avoid
Right, I
another.
know.
Yes.
I understand.
And just to let you know, the lots that are left, like in Stone Ridge and Stone Ridge patio homes, they never did pay a whack and sack, so they have always been charged the $24.50,
The full connection.
the full connection fee.
And they should.
And they,
prepay.
and they should,
Okay.
but now we've had Houston's and another one.
Meadowbrook, when they
Meadowbrook.
bring their final plat.
Right,
They'll pay it.
and they'll
Subject
pay
to-
the $24.50 too, I just wanna make sure I'm understanding it correctly.
Yep.
Yes.
So anybody that prepaid it, which would be those three developments, pre-2005 that prepaid, will
Will
remain
be
at the $750.
Yep.
Anybody else with a new development that didn't prepay, it's the stated rate that's in the fee schedule.
Okay. Yes, and if you would make an emotion and we could have it in minutes and future administrations can find that, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Spell it out, Chris.
I'm just trying to stay caught up as it's going back.
Okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to
Anything plotted?
anything platted before 2005 that prepaid their fees will remain at $750 for the sewer access connection fee
Okay,
On their building permit.
on the building permit.
okay,
Anybody else after that will pay the stated rate in the fee schedule.
awesome. Thank
Okay.
you.
Does that make sense? Yep. Okay, do I have a motion? I'll make that a
Yeah,
motion.
I'll
second
it. You got seconds everywhere.
Second, Dan, thank you. Any other discussion on that? Everybody understands? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Chris.
Woo. Woo-hoo. The notice to call?
Yep, number 2, noticed, the call for redemption of the general obligation bonds. Nancy brought this in. This came from, Bubani, Mike Bubani.
Yeah, as a result of a flurry of emails from TFA, once the pieces came together, we were waiting on certifications, we were waiting on all sorts of things. They're now ready to move forward. This council only meets twice a month. They disperse funds only once a month. And, if we want to do anything, it was like, oops, we need to do this now, because as you mentioned, they need 30 days notice. So it's anticipated that the bonding resolution for the TFA loan will come at the next meeting, February 14th. This is the notice of call to pay off or call that temporary loan that we had. And just for your information, that loan was at 2%. We never know for sure what the final interest rate is with the TFA until we get their final figures. It's 1.095%, so we really like working with
Wow.
the TFA
Whoa.
on this
Yeah,
project.
very nice.
So we're excited to move into that as well, and like I say, we'll hopefully see everything come together. It's right now being reviewed by Grace Morgan, the bond counsel, so.
Okay.
But yes, a council needs to approve this notice.
Okay. Any questions for Nancy on that? Okay, just part of the wastewater treatment plant getting finished. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the notice of a call for redemption of the general obligation bonds.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Doug. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Bonnie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay. Alright, letter H, Mayor's report. everybody get an invitation to the Friends of the Library event they have on February 3rd at 10?
Yep.
Is there more than two of us planning on attending, so we can post a quorum just in
I'm
case?
planning.
I'm out of town.
Out of town?
I planned on going.
Okay.
I probably will.
Yeah, so,
Okay,
yeah,
so
so we
we'll
just
post
post
it.
just in case,
Okay.
yep, yep.
And it will say that a quorum of the council may be present and no business will be conducted.
Okay, thank you for that reminder. We already heard about that grant that Brandon's going to on February 9th. He asked me to go, but I'm out of town that day,
Yep.
and Dan being on the Safe Routes
Yep.
School Committee, I know we contacted him to go with him on that.
Yep, they're all right.
Superintendent couldn't go either, so. If there's anything, just from now on, as we get ready to wrap up the meeting, I know when we go to adjourn, we're all excited and we're gonna adjourn and go, but if there's anything that you can think of, keep notes during the meeting. If there's something you want follow-up on at the next meeting, let's direct that to the administrator at that time to say, hey, you know, we just had a meeting. Can we make sure we get follow-up on this, or just clarify, if that way we can expect it in the next packet? I also went over a couple things with Teresa last week. I stole some other cities' ideas as far as a cover sheet for our agenda items. And it's really simple, like a third of a page type thing, and we can put notes in the bottom if they want to, but basically, what it is, are they expecting a resolution or motion, is it for information only? So that way the public knows too, as these things are on the agenda, they see it in the packet, hey, this is just for discussion, or hey, they're actually gonna make a decision on that ahead of time, just so you know, and it helps me out too, and as far as preparing to run the meeting, I don't have to ask, do we need a motion for that or a resolution, it's kinda filled out for me. So we'll try that for the next meeting or two and see how that goes. The work session's coming up March 17th. Any requests for things that you wanna see there, just shoot Teresa an email. I think we'll have the standard things, Nancy will have something with the finance, we'll have somebody there on the capital plan.
We'll probably have to move him to a council meeting, he is not
Can't come that
available
day,
that
okay.
particular day.
So if there's anything in particular you wanna see, or
We'll get a
particular
commitment.
department, or whatever information, just let Teresa know. And then as far as appointments, I told you I'd come back, I got the answer today from the chamber. I can't find my names. For the EDA, just kind of a philosophy here. I really challenged the Chamber of Commerce and the EDA to kind of get together this year, as far as being able to share information and work together. And the business community, I think it's gonna be good if we can work together as the EDA, everybody all on the same page. So I asked if their board would wanna have a representative, that they would have somebody that would come to the EDA meetings and be a member that's also on the chamber board, to be kind of a connection there. And also Rebecca is gonna be attending their chamber board meetings, as well as the general meetings, to kind of get the communication back and forth between the two groups. It just makes sense to be plugged in and connected. You don't have any, if you can hear it right from somebody directly, you don't have the communication misses there playing telephone. So Liza Larson is who they recommended, so I recommend to appoint Liza. And then, I was reminded that, someone had applied for EDA last year and there wasn't room, but Janice Borgson-Durst reminded me again that she had applied last year. I think she talked to you, right? She told me she had to check with Cory first, but,
That's a first.
That'd be a last.
Anyway, I'd like to appoint Janice Borgson-Durst to EDA, so that would round that out. And I'm gonna circle back to planning and zoning, and this is gonna be one of those, philosophical things that I'm gonna recommend again that we appoint the fire chief to planning and zoning. Mainly because I think that, I did go back and check, as far as meetings go, the first Monday of the month they have their drill, the third and fourth they have training, the second Monday, it's not necessarily a formal meeting, and it's flexible. But I think that the fire department should have a presence at planning and zoning, just as the city's growing, as far as fire and code and the other things that go on with that, the fire department has in there. So I would like to still recommend that we appoint the fire chief to planning and zoning. So those are my three recommended appointments.
And I'm gonna clarify, because, so we are filling terms that had not ended.
Correct.
Okay, so on the EDA, we have a term ending in, December of 2020. Would that be Liza?
That'll be Liza.
And then we have a term that's ending in December of 2018, that would be Janice?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep, wait a minute. I think we need to switch that.
Well, Janice can apply and have a whole new 6-year
Okay.
term.
Well, no, I was just thinking from the chamber
Oh,
point, their board might
chamber.
change over.
But
This is
then
the 3
you'll
years.
have another,
A different person there.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright,
okay.
okay. So that's my recommendation. Is there any discussion or?
I still have an issue with planning commission.
Okay.
I will reiterate, I think is first and foremost, if he's gonna be fire chief, he should be at the meetings, and running those meetings. They talk about safety and everything else, and I think the lead guy should be there. It'd be like you taking the mayor's seat and saying, I'm only gonna be at 25% of the meetings. I think that,
But my conversations with the guys in the department and the chief is the second Monday of the month, there is not an official meeting.
well, I guess I've talked to some guys too, and they say that he's been missing a few meetings a year already, and saying that he's at other meetings, which I know he's been to one planning commission meeting. I will tell him that he was here for one.
Okay.
But I guess my viewpoint is fire department and people sit here and say, wanna make sure they get all their, I guess, precautions in their safety and for their guys and everything else. And I guess if the lead guy isn't there 100% of the time, committing somewhere else, I'm not good with that.
Okay, noted. Anybody else?
I agree with Coy on it, I mean,
Okay.
the night.
Like I said,
Why
if it was
would
any
you
other
take someone
night,
on salary and put them there on nights they might have to be at one of them, so.
yeah, I mean, and like I said, it's, he's the one person that should be there. So.
Okay. I'm still gonna probably stick with my recommendation. Put it to a vote.
I think he's a good fit.
I just think the fire department should have a presence there as we
Voice.
go forward. But, and as we appoint, we can also change, if it
Let
turns
me
out to
ask-
be a problem, we can change our mind in it.
Let me ask you this, what presences would they need to be involved in with, planning and zoning for the city ordinance?
Safety. If we're gonna change a building spec or footprint or whatever as far as development and that type of thing, being able to move trucks around or equipment, where things will be located.
I think you're really reaching myself, but, for P and Z, for the general development plans and plotting property and, making sure the easements are in for utilities and.
Yeah, I mean, we can disagree.
Okay.
Do you have to do a motion on individual or all three of these?
Probably individually. Okay. We have to do. So I'll make a recommendation, I'll make the motion that we approve Janice Borgeson Nurse to fulfill the term until the end of 2018 on EDA.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Melanie, do I abstain from that one?
Because you're on the planning commission?
No,
No, this is EDA.
I don't think it should make any
You're
difference.
just a recommending board, but
You're a citizen.
if you feel safer, do it.
Well, he said if we abstain, we have to have a reason why, so.
Conflict of interest, I don't know if it's
I
conflict
don't
of
know,
interest.
and I don't wanna have somebody say, well, you should have voted, how the lynch mob is.
It's not like a paid position, and so I don't.
I don't mind either way, but I'm saying, if you think I should abstain, I'll abstain, and I won't give him the reason for me to say that he abstained.
His,
Business person off of Main Street, good deal.
Yeah.
his mom or him won't gain any,
Yeah, there's no, it's not an employee.
there's no personal gain or anything.
Yeah,
I don't think
you
there's
should
an issue.
abstain on that.
Okay, I just wanna make sure.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Make the recommendation to appoint Liza Larson to the EDA for a term till 2020, a 3-year term.
I'll make that, or I'll second that motion, sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Make a motion to appoint Joe Fitch to the planning commission.
I'll second that.
Dan, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-2, appointed Doug against, and Dan, Chris, and Lon for. That's all I've got for that. Administrators.
One meeting a month.
What's that? Administrators report.
So,
Shop co-op, we've already kinda covered.
We've covered a lot of it. It was
And my
in the
intention for
packet.
this was, I received several pieces of feedback since the last meeting in public and phone calls that about
Me too.
how nobody can tell us we can't have access there. Shopko doesn't have any right to do that, and people are talking, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I thought we'd just put it on the public record that, yes, they do. Whether we like it or not, the way the agreement was done, 5, 6, 7, whatever was done, that's just the way they did it. And so we gotta live with those consequences, that's, we're working to get that done. So I don't know, Teresa, how much more you have to add that we haven't already.
You know,
heard.
you already heard that. I spoke with Patrick yesterday, so.
Okay. So really, we've covered everything that you had on
That
there.
I have pretty much.
Okay.
So where is the agreement with Shopko and MinDOT on this giving an access, closing an access?
What was that
That
agreement?
was, actually, that would have been at the time of, the Opidin development.
I'm not asking what time it is,
I
want
don't.
it physically in my hand.
Yeah, I don't have anything physical. I can ask Brandon to circle back with them for
A
their
shared access
specific
agreement?
report.
utilizing the current-
Yeah, 'cause I mean, you refer to something, you don't give
Right.
something physically in my hand to read, signed, documented,
You would get that.
recorded.
Yeah, I'll have Brandon circle back with Rhonda on it. I
Okay.
think he will see her in the next few weeks, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I can have him circle back on what they provided, at the time of the Opidin development.
Okay. Engineers report, the fee schedule, which is in the packet.
Do you remember the old fees?
I brought those, if you want me to just summarize it. You know, I look at Brandon, or if you can, I didn't see one for 2017, so I found the one for 2016, and
17 was
indeed,
the
that's
same as
what's
16.
being billed in December 2017, so it hasn't changed since the January 2016, 2 years. Brandon's rate went up, just less than 10%, and I didn't run the numbers on the others, but over 2 years.
Okay. How was just information correct? We already approved the contract.
Or do we have to approve that, Teresa?
I don't believe so. Your
We
fee
designated
schedule,
him
your
last
fee
time.
schedule already says something about actual costs, so.
Well, this contract didn't come in until after it's been approved, so we still get them on the last year's rate for the year.
Well, I think the original contract just said, that's who you have, 'cause we bid out the services, and that, fees may change as necessary. So there's no contract that needs to be renewed unless council wants to ask them to prepare a different contract. But otherwise, they just inform of the rates. And if council has issues with that, then you can go back to them as well, too.
Okay.
10% is just a figure, what is the actual?
Again, I didn't have the calculations. For our representative, the actual increase would have been $9.60, and it was $9 even. So it's just under. And I'd have to run all,
So you went from $96
comparisons
to
for all of them.
$105. But he didn't change his rate in 2017, it stayed the same for 2 years.
That's right.
Okay. Al, attorney's report.
I believe that you should have in front of you this resolution on HAC's second edition. So, it's I did have a number of conversations with the folks over at the county. I originally spoke to, Ryan DeCook. He is the county assessor, and Wendy, who also works over in the assessor's office. It was, do you not have that? It was at their recommendation that, the entire original plat be replatted. As you know, what the property owner is seeking is a replat of just a portion of that original plat. They are not seeking to replat the part that was minor subdivided out in April of 2017. Their concern is just, it's messy. It causes potential confusion for people examining title in the future. They go back through that chain of title for at least 40 years, and when you're switching, it's going to be changing legal descriptions for 4 separate parcels, well, actually all 5 parcels. The one that was minor subdivided out is not gonna be, that's pretty easy, that's going to remain part of Hack's Edition. But the other 4 parcels are going to turn into Hack's Second Edition, and there's nothing illegal about it. It's a recommendation from the county because it's messy. They can replat it as Hack's Second Edition. So I subsequently spoke to Lisa Haney, who is the Dodge County surveyor. She indicated that they do discourage the use of the word replat in the title of a plat. So despite what I was originally told, or maybe I misunderstood or assumed, she would prefer that it be called something like Hack's Second Edition instead of calling it replat of Hack's Edition. So the title, you can see in the resolution, the title has been left, what the property owner has requested as far as in his preliminary plat. It's my understanding that there are some of these conditions that were not approved by, or are not being recommended by the Planning Commission. So I think I've got the minutes from the Planning Commission meeting in front of me. I don't know if everybody else has those as well. The water and sewer access charges and the parkland fees, it's my understanding, I just wanna make sure everybody's clear, that the Planning Commission has only recommended that lots 1, 3, and 4 pay the water and sewer access charges and parkland fees. And then the other one that I had a question about was the sidewalk. It's my understanding that the Planning Commission has recommended only that sidewalk be included if it's not already there on 5th Avenue. Because I'm not sure if there's a trail, but there's a trail
There's
that
a trail
goes,
there.
so it's already
There is no
existing.
sidewalk.
So
Right.
it's my understanding that
Trail,
the
right.
Planning Commission is
Which is-
not recommending that sidewalk be required on the north side of the plat, along
Because it would go
16th
north.
Street. But I think the remaining conditions are in accordance with what the Planning Commission has recommended.
So so based on the recommendation from the Planning Commission, that decision was made on the basis of a connection that Rich Massey referred to between one of the parcels and 16th Street. That's a connection. He won't have to pay a connection fee for that particular lot, but having a connection would not exempt that lot from the sewer access charge.
Okay.
So, So that's why I didn't specify specific lots for either the water and sewer access charges or the parkland fees. They would apply to the entire plat. He has one lot that already has a connection. Those are kind of two different things that I think maybe weren't clear. And then, the sidewalk is at the discretion of the council, so it needs to be the council at their discretion that makes the determination to include or not include the sidewalk. So though the planning commission made the recommendation, the council, if they decide not to have a sidewalk, just need to remove that from the resolution at their discretion.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification
Okay.
about the access charges.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Hello, Lonnie. So what's the sidewalk in the middle of that there? What's sidewalk is that?
That sidewalk, we were talking about, they were talking about a sidewalk along 16th, and I said, that's not,
Right.
not a good deal. And if they wanna do something, they need to do a bike path, paid for by the city.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, didn't we already talk about that?
Yes.
Yes,
we
but
did.
you should do it
We
at
should
your
reiterate, say there's
discretion
no-
in this motion,
no
right,
sidewalk
to be
required.
very specific that it was at the council's discretion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Okay, now, this is, maybe I'm not understanding this, right?
Okay.
He has one sewer connection,
Yes, he has actually two sewer connections.
right, the original
The
and.
house that's there
And the second lot, that's
Right.
in the second subdivision. Okay, now when they did that, how long ago did they do that? Was it paid back then?
No, that actually was 2007.
Okay.
That Hack subdivision was recorded, and in 2007, there was no sewer access charge. And we went back, and in 2007, we did not collect from anyone either water access charges or sewer access charges. And then we went back specifically to look at parkland fees, and Hack's addition did not pay any parkland fees at that time either.
Okay, I just wanted that clarified.
Right, so now we're increasing the density, and we have a new plat essentially on top of it, so at the final plat, then those fees would be due.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like what we talked about.
This is what you're talking about, okay. So do we need to clarify then, did I hear, Melanie, you said something about the water, sewer access charge, parkland fees on lots 1, 3, and 4, but then you were saying 2?
Well, I'm saying the entire plat, because he has a connection.
The access charges still need to be paid.
Right,
Okay.
so that
So
you
do I
can
need to
pay
clarify
those.
anything when we do a motion
No,
about that, just
because
leave that
this
off?
would be at the final plat, it would be
Okay.
everything, right?
Okay, so I'm just clarifying what the motion would
Right.
be to approve this resolution.
Right, but if you wanna remove the sidewalk, you should include that in your motion for approval of the resolution.
And that would just be on the 16th Street?
Yeah,
Anything, because there's already a bike path on
On the other side,
On the other side,
right.
so just there's no sidewalk in that whole plan, right? So-
No.
right,
Right.
okay.
Okay, so are there any other questions on that? Clarification. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution approving the preliminary plat of Hack Second Edition as mentioned in there, with a note that sidewalks are not required for this edition. I'll entertain that
This
motion.
is the way planning gave it to us, isn't it?
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Doug. A second, Dan, thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimously, Lynn. Okay, so as far as, the closed sessions that are coming up, do we need to close and open these 3 times, or can we close all 3 under the same statute? Or that they'll all be,
You can, so there has been a request from the public that you close and open each separately. there's no requirement by statute that you do that. We do, and we have always complied with requirements about, their concern was some of these need to be recorded, some cannot be recorded. We comply with that, even when we close the meeting once and we discuss different things. There are times where we, turn off or turn back on the recording. So, there's no requirement that we close and open. It will delay things. But there has been a request by an individual in the public who's asked that it be done that way.
Okay, so which of these three need to be recorded? All of them, or not?
The first two, litigation strategy would not be recorded. The last one, real estate, does need to be recorded.
Okay, so would it be acceptable then to say we're gonna close the meeting, first two items will not be recorded, the third item will be recorded, and we'll reopen it and give an update of all three items?
I think that would absolutely be
Okay,
appropriate.
rather than have people run back and forth in and out.
Right. And the difficulty with getting the video uploaded after there've been 3 interruptions.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna close the meeting for litigation strategy, regarding library, and then the related special assessment challenges. Those portions of the meeting will not be recorded. The third part of the closed session will be a real estate offer and counter offer. That part will be recorded, and we'll open the meeting after we're complete. Thank you. Yes. No.
You don't have to leave, Dan.
Sorry, we're just trying to get all
That's
that down.
Are you gonna have, from moving forward, you said make any motion, something